G'day guys, and today it is time to cover the hotly contested Wentworth by-election that is currently happening in the city of Sydney within Australia. So what is this election all about? Well, as I've spoken of before, Malcolm Turnbull was ousted as the Prime Minister of Australia, and he has since stepped down from politics, so his Senate seat of Wentworth has now become up for grabs. So there's been a by-election caused to fill the seat before the 2019 election. So let me just go ahead and give you a little bit of a spill about Wentworth. So Wentworth is the second smallest geographical electoral division in the Parliament. It covers some of the south side of Sydney Harbour, southeasterly we'll say. So the little hook shape to the southeast of the harbour. It is one of the safest Liberal seats in the nation. It has been Liberal for over 100 years and has never been held by the Australian Labor Party, the other major party in Australia. According to census, the seat covers some of the wealthiest suburbs in Australia and has the highest proportion of high-income families of all seats in Australia, along with the division of North Sydney. This is coming from Wikipedia. For the first time in history, Wentworth is being upset, however, as Karen Phelps, the Independent, currently holds 51.1% of the two-party preferred vote. In the primary round of voting, she received less votes than the Liberal incumbent, but as votes were recycled through, according to the Australian two-party system, she garnered more and more votes and currently stands at the aforementioned 51.1%. At the time of recording, there are still a few thousand postal votes to count and distribute the votes with. The postal votes are lean more Liberal, so Dave Sharma has narrowed the gap slightly with his postal votes. He's currently 1,616 votes behind the Independent. Now what's amazing in this race, in this huge historic upset, is that Karen Phelps only started her campaign 3 weeks ago, I should say, not 3 days ago, that would be insane, but 3 weeks ago. She was also grassroots funded. This represents a terrible, terrible upset for the Liberal Party in the coming 2019 election. If they lose their safest seat to a rando independent, what chance do they have in other swing seats? In short, this is backing up what I've said, they're absolutely fucked in the coming election. It will be a landslide. What I will predict we'll see is, like the last election, we will see an even greater surge of independent voters. This isn't the case of people abandoning the Liberal Party to vote for the Labor Party, it's people abandoning both major parties to vote for whatever independent they choose. This shows that Australia is following the trend of the rest of the West, in that people are abandoning centrist parties and fringe movements are beginning to grow. This is due to centrist movements such as the Liberal and Labor Party being too incompetent in their governing. They're simply not good enough and not satisfactory enough, and they've spread themselves too thin, and they're afraid of rocking the boat. For example, Malcolm Turnbull described the Liberal Party as a centrist party, as he did not want to be identified as some kind of right-wing party, as, the spooky right-wing boogeyman sort of thing. This alienated many Conservative voters within the Liberal Party, and they moved out and are voting for other parties such as Cory Bernardi's Australian Conservatives, the Katter's Australian Party, One Nation, Liberal Democrats, and that sort of thing. Something else that helps these fringe movements grow is the action of the mainstream media. They can make a quick buck fear-mongering about fringe movements, such as Fraser Anning's maiden speech, in which he called for a, quote, final solution to Australia's immigration problem, and a lot of places ran headlines saying, oh my god, Nazis, this sort of thing. Or David Leyonhjelm sparring with Sarah Hanson-Young, and everyone rolled out and said, oh, sexism this, sexism that. I do not believe these mainstream media companies particularly care, they just want to make a buck. In the case of the Wentworth by-election, alienation from the Liberal Party was certainly a major factor in Karen Phelps' success. Leadership spills, as I've mentioned before, never go down well in Australian politics. It certainly goes against our culture of having a fair go. Within the home Senate seat of the person who was stabbed in the back, it can be expected to go even worse. Karen Phelps has also mentioned the fact that the Liberal Party didn't seem to want to talk about things that the voters cared about, such as climate change, such as the kids on Nauru Island, and religious discrimination within the schooling system, as I've mentioned before. She claimed that the Liberal Party was more interested with infighting and talking about itself rather than its policies. To conclude, the Wentworth by-election, when we look back at this period of time of history, may be seen as a canary in the coal mine incident for current Australian politics. It is quite clear that the Australian people are reaching a tipping point with regards to the centrist major parties of Liberal and Labor. This absolute dumpstering of the safest Liberal stronghold pretty much in Australia, North Sydney runs a close second, but Wentworth is the Liberal seat, indicates a radical shift in the political paradigm of Australia. With the benefit of hindsight, it may become very clear that Australians at this point in time are incredibly fed up with the major parties, as they feel they can no longer represent us properly. As such, we will be throwing our support behind fringe movements such as the nativistic One Nation Party or the Libertarian Liberal Democrat Party, to name two examples. Due to the current hung parliament, which is to say that there is an equal amount of Senate seats between Labor and Liberal, the independents have now become more important than ever, as each will need to be courted by the major parties in order to secure what they want. The way the Australian Senate works, these fringe movements don't need to actually be the major parties in order to have a major influence. As long as the major parties are close in number to one each other, the crossbenchers, the fringe movements, the independents have to be courted in order for the centrist parties to get what they want. Thanks all for sticking around, and have a good one.